When you see this, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Violence? Does it even bring you back to a memory? Or is it just a gun to you? 90% of the population look at this item and the first thing that pops into their mind is either violence or a disagreement. 30,000 people a year die from a gunshot wound. I'm going to talk about why we need gun control, especially in the United States. A lot of people rebuttal that by saying we have the Second Amendment. But did you know that the Second Amendment was put into the Constitution for military only? Not a lot of people know that because they just see the right to bear arms. But if you continue reading in more depth, it does emphasize that it is only for military use. I'm going to talk about 8 different reasons why we need gun control. One was just proving a point that even though we do have the Second Amendment to bear arms, that was meant for military use. More gun control would reduce deaths. The 12th leading cause of death is firearms. 200 Americans go to emergency rooms every single day. Every day, 200 people are admitted into the ER due to gunshot wounds. In the past 15 years, there have been almost 500,000 deaths due to gunshot victims. Having more gun control in the United States would protect women. Would protect men, but mostly women. The risk if a woman is getting assaulted, there's a 5% increase of violence if a gun is present, which means there's a 500% chance that there will be death due to a gun violence. Legally owned guns are frequently stolen and used by criminals. Between 2005 and 2010, 1.4 million guns were stolen from U.S. homes during property crimes. That is almost 230,000 guns stolen. Laws on safety lockup. Guns would not be stolen if guns were properly locked up. If you do have the right to bear arms and carry a gun, there needs to be better gun control on making sure that all guns are locked up. 31% of total accidental shootings are simply because either guns do not have their safety lock or because they are not locked up properly. With gun control regulations, this could be prevented. It is scientifically proven that guns make someone more violent, whether it's the person who's mad pulls out his gun or the person on the other side of the gun gets more angry due to the fact that there is a gun in their face. If we had gun control, there wouldn't be this risk of someone just randomly pulling a gun out on you. Naturally, everyone gets mad, so there is a problem with that. I found a quote, and it says, start quote, "The FBI found that in 2013 arguments resulted in almost 2,000 gun deaths," end quote. 2,000, just due to simply someone getting angry. Any situation that you're in, if you bring in a gun, there's a more deadly situation. This is because they're not trained properly. If you go in to buy a gun, you do not have to train. They do not take you in the back and take you shooting. If your background check looks good and you're 21 and older, you can get a gun. Gun control regulations, I think this is what they need to control most of, is making sure that if someone can buy a gun, that they are properly trained. The only people who are properly trained how to use a gun are law enforcement and military. Another thing is countries with restricted gun laws have lower homicide and suicide rates than the United States. As you can see here, the United States gun murders are all the way up here. Here we have Italy, not the second highest, not even in comparison to the United States. just to give you some examples, Switzerland's ranked number 3 in international gun ownership rates with 45.7 guns per 100. They only had 24 gun homicides. Second, Finland ranked 4th in the international gun ownership rates with 45.3 guns per 100. They only had 23 homicides. The United States, number 1, 88.8 guns to 100. There were almost 13,000 deaths. Let that sink in. 24, 23, 1,300. The reason why this is because Finland and Switzerland have very, very, very restrictive and high gun control laws, unlike the United States. Even those who don't think that there should be gun control, or those who have guns and they're not in the military, all believe that there should be more gun control regulations, or just make stricter regulations. This means stricter background checks, getting trained for the job. As much as 40% of all gun sales are undocumented private party gun sales that do not require a background check. 40%. 90% of people believe that there should be a stricter background checks on those buying guns. So if you think about it, 40% of people buy their guns illegally on the black market, and 90% that there should be stricter background checks. Even those are even people who have guns. The biggest thing for gun control is just making sure that there are just stricter regulations. Even though we're out of just the military only, there need to be stricter regulations, especially when you have a very high stealing rate of guns, more women domestic abuse every year, more homicides every year. There needs to be gun control, and I think everyone can truly agree on that. Not everyone's going to agree if there should be guns or no guns, if it should be for military. That will always be split. But it is common sense that there are gun control laws and regulations. Recently, Obama did update the current laws before he went out of office. He had laws forbidding the carry of firearms in sensitive places, which is airports, schools, churches, and places like that. And he made it stricter for background checks, which is amazing. But due to the Second Amendment, what I researched is the president cannot make new laws for gun control. They can only make the current laws better, which I found extremely disappointing. Things are always changing in the future, so we never know what's going to happen. But my presentation here today was to tell you all that we need gun control. We need stricter regulations. This is to keep people safe. Safety is what we want. We want to be able to walk our streets and not feel nervous. We want to be able to go to school and not feel nervous. We want to be able to go to church and not have to worry something bad's going to happen. 500,000 gunshot deaths in 15 years. If there were stricter gun control regulations, I think that number will be brought down immensely. Think about it. When you see this, what do you picture now?